We want to fight for justice. We do want justice because we all went through a terrible ordeal. We want justice and we want reform. We want to move forward to be able so we can protect those children that are suffering now in all walks of life, never mind football.
After scandals in the Roman Catholic Church, police forces, and the entertainment industry, football is the latest British institution facing widespread allegations of child sexual abuse. Last month, former professional English footballer Andy Woodward was the first to come forward. And since then, more than 450 former English Youth League football players say that as children, they were sexually abused by their coaches and trainers. Some 98 clubs, from the amateur level to the Premier League, have been implicated, including Leeds United, Blackpool, Crewe Alexandra, Manchester City, Stoke and Newcastle. And some say there could be more to come.
I'm getting phone calls every day of players who I've grown up with. You know, it's still going. There's so many. Honestly, you wouldn't believe how many that there are still to come out. It's unbelievable, honestly.
21 police forces, including the Metropolitan Police, have opened investigations into the claims. A former football coach, Barry Bennell, appeared in court on charges of sexual abuse against a teenage boy. He's now been kept in custody. It has taken just a few of Bennell's alleged victims, including Andy Woodward, to come forward and expose what could be a major scandal.
I was totally overwhelmed, you know. Last week I was on here, I was on my own, and I was so scared, but I knew that they were here. Honest to God, Victoria, I can't thank the public enough and the media, and more importantly, the lads for backing me up, you know.
We're also getting parents coming through to us asking what is a very relevant question: is my child safe in football now?
The shock over the number of accusations about child sex abuse in English youth football has led to concerns that it may still be going on. The English and Scottish football associations are investigating further claims. Crewe Alexandra say they are conducting an investigation over claims coach Barry Bennell sexually abused one of his junior footballers in the late 1980s. But senior club managers allowed him to stay on.
There are still predators out there. It's not just football, it's sport in general. The access to children in sport is greater than I think in most places apart from schools.
Premier League Chelsea has confirmed a former player was sexually abused while at the club.
When that investigation is complete, we will pass all information to the FA, and then they can have a look at it, and they would be the appropriate ones to decide whether the club acted appropriately throughout.
As more players come forward with accusations, investigators will not only be looking at the scale of any abuse, but who knew about it and whether it's still happening, not only in football, but in other sports as well. Christine Pirovolakis, The Newsmakers.
I'm joined now by Andy Woodward himself. Andy, great to talk to you. I salute your courage. It's been tremendous what you've done over the past month or so. As we speak, I'm looking at the stats. We have roughly 350 possible victims at almost 100 clubs. Did you ever expect this to blow so wide open with so many former footballers coming forward after you told your story?
In my heart, I knew that there was several people just alone at one football club, but I also knew that there was something not right in football, and but I didn't expect such a quick response. And you know, I can't thank the people that have given their strength and courage to come out and do this. You know,
you gave them that courage. How does that feel? Do you feel relieved that they felt emboldened and empowered by the fact that you told your story, and they felt, hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with me. I can tell my story as well.
Yeah, there is a relief, because the day before I nearly didn't do the newspaper. I cried the night before. I nearly didn't do it, but now I'm not even now. I'm just totally overwhelmed with all the the support and all the people that have come forward. And for me, it's like now I'm gaining a family and friends that I've missed for 30 years, you know, and I'm totally overwhelmed with the people that have come out.
Has there been anything that has shocked you to the core, whether it's something that's been publicly revealed over the past few weeks from other people, or stuff that's been told to you privately since everybody's been talking about it and people have been coming forward?
Yeah, I mean, I've had hundreds of messages. What's sort of like heartfelt feelings are, you know, I got a message just last week from I found out afterwards it was a 15-year-old boy who was sat in his bedroom in a dark room, and he said that he was writing his suicide note, and he saw the TV show, Victoria Derbyshire show, and it stopped him from doing that. And if I can reach out and you know, give those people that strength not to go down that route and to let that burden go, you know, it's phenomenal. And what also shocked me is that just in the news just the other day that Chelsea Football Club paid £50,000 just 2 years ago to hush somebody from coming out. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm reading that about Gary Johnson getting hush money from Chelsea. Does that make you believe that, or are you suspicious that many clubs have been involved in cover-ups over the years?
Yeah, of course it makes everybody suspicious, doesn't it? And that's what the media are talking about right now. And all I ask is that this independent inquiry can be done. They can do that investigation, and it's not for me to say how many clubs are involved, but I hope that independency will do that. You know, and for me moving forward, all I want is, you know, we've launched our own trust, the Offside Trust, and we just want to be independent and people can trust us, you know, because we're survivors from it, you know, and that's how I feel that we can do that moving forward.
Crewe Alexandra, your former club, they seem to be somewhat underwhelming in their response over the past few weeks. Have they deeply disappointed you?
Well, you look at the revelations of Chelsea. Within one day, Chelsea came out with a public apology to that individual within 24 hours or a day. You know, us and, you know, myself and Steve and all the other survivors from that football club, we've not had any apology from any individual, from anyone from that club. And, you know, they can do their own investigation, but not one of us has ever had one little bit of an apology to say, we're sorry that happened to you. Not accountability, just sorry it happened to us.
Dario Gradi, who was the former head coach, a symbol of Crewe Alexandra, has been suspended pending investigation. He claims, you know, he didn't know any of this. There are claims that he knew abuse was happening and that he tried to smooth it over. Do you think that he knew you and others were being abused and he tried to cover it up?
All I can say is I don't want to really get involved in all that. However, he's been suspended because of the revelations from Chelsea. In terms of Crewe, you know, I have my own, and I'm yet to say my voice about what happened at that football club, and I have to keep that to myself at the moment, but that will come out at a later date, and I will have my voice about what happened at that football club.
Now, I want to talk about Barry Bennell, and you can tell me you want to stop if you do that. That's fine. I want to just mention the psychological element and the sort of control that he had over you and over others, because it seems to be quite extraordinary. On a parallel, I can relate to it, having suffered very low-level physical abuse from a cricket coach who beat us, you know, black and blue, and striped us. I remember we were 12 years old and we were thinking, was this wrong or was it normal? And I remember, you know, for days, for weeks, for months afterwards, some of us looked at each other and we thought, maybe this is just the way it is. This is, you know, when you play cricket, the coach beats you and whacks you. I wonder, help me understand the psychological hold he had over you during those years preventing you from coming forward and going public as a boy?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like now it's come out, I'm not alone. There's so many of us suffered exactly the same psychological problem that we had with him, and I know others around the country. You see the stats that have nobody's ever come out before, but that man, he had ultimate control over us. He had control over our parents, you know, and the things that he used to do was just, you know, to a point where I was saying last night to somebody, he'd have me standing against a wall with martial arts stars, and he'd throw them at me, and I'd stand there and I'd freeze because I was so frightened, and they'd hit me, well, they'd hit by the side of me, and that was just a little example of his control over me. And then to add to that is that he would also say he was in control of my career. And for those that have been abused in a child, that control, that was my dream, to be a footballer. That was my dream, and he had ultimate control over that. And when they control you like that, you can't ever speak out.
Andy, I wonder, what would justice be for you? I mean, this happened decades ago. You're sharing your story. There's, I guess, a therapeutic element to it. It's cathartic. There's a weight off your shoulders. But what would justice mean for you and for so many others?
I think for justice is that now I feel relief that he's off the streets and he's now where he needs to be, because my vision and my goal in life now is just to protect children. And I've got a vision, and I just want to move forward with that vision. This is therapy for me, but also it's so important that we can't let that happen. The past is the past. We can't change what's happened to me. I'll get my therapy, but what's important is right now that throughout the world, we've got to protect children. They can't go through that trauma, and I'm an example of that. I went through it, you know, I'm still suffering now from it. And if I can't do anything more other than, you know I've saved people, and I want to continue to save children. And, you know, that's my vision and that's my goal in life now, just to give those people a chance to have a voice. And whether it's an 11-year-old child or a 40-year-old man, we need to be together on this, united, and we can't let this happen to children.
Institutionally, we saw when there were claims against priests, for example, in the Catholic Church. Many years ago, there was a lot of denial. There were cover-ups. There were people who just refused to believe that this sort of thing was going on. Now you have, it's not perfect, but you have many systems in place from the Vatican, sort of top-down and bottom-up, and among churches across the world. There's a vetting process. People take this sort of thing seriously. They're not in denial that it doesn't happen within the Catholic Church. Is that ultimately where you want to see football going, where they go, okay, this could be a problem, it might be a problem, it has been a problem, we need to mitigate for that, we need to solve it at the root? Is that what you want?
Absolutely, that's my vision, because unfortunately for many people across the world, football has never come to the surface of this, you know, and it took a lot of courage for me to actually do this, and now it's out. And now so many people are able to speak out. You know, we've got to change. You know, in terms of, like, in the UK, it's not mandatory for anybody to report anything like this. And in the other countries, it is mandatory. You know, we've got to try and protect them children. And what, in the past, we can't change what's happened back then. But my vision and my goal in life now is to protect children, protect this happening ever again.
Andy Woodward, what you've done is courageous and heroic. I salute you, and it's been an honor talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us.